Can I keep my wife safe from bad influences? We are all influenced by our experiences. From early childhood, our parents influence us and teach us the basics of life. As we grow up, our friends, classmates, neighbors, co-workers, and others influence our view of the world. Some of them have very little impact on our thinking, while others profoundly influence our thoughts and actions. When my wife, Cindy, turned 48, she announced that she was tired of cleaning our 4-bedroom, 3,500-square-foot home and wanted to downsize. Several of her fellow teachers had recently sold their homes and moved to much smaller dwellings. At first, I resisted the idea. We raised 2 children in this house. I put a lot of sweat and labor into its upkeep. The grandchildren seemed to enjoy being there for vacations, although my son's house was much larger, nicer, and newer. My daughter's house was older, but was situated on 5 acres of land and had plenty of room for outdoor entertaining. Bill, all my friends say downsizing is the right way to go. We will save money on utilities, house maintenance, and yard work. Plus, we won't have to spend all weekend cleaning the house. We'll be able to enjoy life more. But the memories, the neighbors, the family reunions, how will we live in an apartment listening to the neighbors turn on the TV? The memories will stay in our heads, not in the house. Most of our good neighbors have moved away. Robbie and Mary can have family gatherings now, and the place I like is a detached condo, so there won't be any noise from the neighbors. I like that we don't have to do any more yard work, and that the smaller condo, with a master suite and laundry room on the first floor, is great. But what about all our stuff? Honestly, it's just stuff. We'll give some of it to the kids if they want it. What they don't need and we don't want can be given to charity. I'm sure Mary and Tim will let you stack all the tools in their shed. I have to hand it to her. Cindy found a really nice place for us. It had everything we wanted and was close to our work and not too far from the children's homes. The developer called them cluster homes. About 150 detached houses set on clover-shaped cul-de-sacs. Each house had a large patio with a fence. The community pool was huge and the clubhouse was well designed. We lived there for about 5 months when the house next door to us sold. The couple who moved in seemed friendly to us. We invited them over for dinner, and 6 months later, Ted and Amy became our new best friends. It turned out that Ted and Amy were about 10 years younger than us and had never had children. Ted was in sales and traveled a lot, and Amy was an assistant professor at a nearby liberal arts college. She and Cindy often discussed their topics, while Ted and I talked about sports or current events. After an evening of wine and food on our patio, Amy and Ted said goodnight to each other and headed home. As we were undressing, Cindy asked me a strange question. "Bill, do you find me attractive?" "Of course. You still look the same as you did in college. You keep yourself in shape and are always well-dressed. Most people think you're still in your 30s. I think you're gorgeous." She smiled at me. "You should say that. You're my husband." I shook my head. "I've always been honest with you. You're beautiful, and I'm always proud to have you on my arm when we go out." "Do you find Amy attractive?" "Of course, she's trim and very much like you. As you know, people often think she's your sister. Why do you ask?" "Well, when she and I were having lunch today, 2 guys came up to us and started chatting. I thought it was weird because we were in the food court at the mall. Amy seemed very comfortable talking to them, and she even flirted a little with one of them." And you flirted with one of them?" "What? No, I mean I talked to the guy, but it was just polite conversation, like with any stranger." "Okay, then why are you telling me this?" "Well, after the guys left, Amy said she wished she had given him her phone number. I was shocked and she just laughed and called me old-fashioned." "Really? That surprises me." "She told me tonight that Ted lets her play when he's out of town. Has she ever hit on you?" I stared at her, shocked by this new revelation. Then I remembered the question she'd asked me. "No, never. I mean, she flirted a little, but no more than you." "Well, and if she did approach you, would you want to, First of all, I'm a married man, so no. Second, I'm pretty sure Amy wouldn't be interested in an old guy like me." Cindy laughed. From what she said today, I think you're wrong. I think she and Ted get up to some pretty crazy stuff sometimes. She snuggled up to me as we got into bed. I put my arms around her and pulled her to me for a kiss. She threw her leg over mine and began to nuzzle against my thigh. She whispered in my ear, snuggling against me. I have to admit, all her sexy talk has me a little turned on. So what did she say that got you turned on? She talked about how fun it was to be with someone new, seeing a sexy man and just going after him. She said modern women don't have to just sit around and passively wait for a guy to make a move. Modern women can be aggressors. And that turned you on? The thought of going out hunting, finding a guy you like and sleeping with him just for the fun of it? Well, maybe as a fantasy, but I could never actually do that. But apparently Amy can and does, and you find it sexy, arousing, and maybe it makes you a little jealous. Maybe, haven't you ever seen a sexy woman and fantasized about sleeping with her? And if Amy came after you, wouldn't you want her? As a married man, I would never cheat, and I expect my wife to be of the same opinion. If Ted had hit on you, would you sleep with him? No, of course not. I guess there's nothing wrong with fantasizing about that sort of thing, but I'd never do it unless... Unless? Well, if we agreed as they do, then I think it would be all right. So you want me to agree to something like that? Not exactly. Amy talks about it so excitingly. I thought we could talk about it and tell each other how we feel. You're not angry with me, are you? Angry? No, but I'm a little worried. I think Amy affects you more than you realize. She's got you thinking about things that could very well end our marriage. Cindy clung to me. Oh my God, Bill, don't say things like that. We were just talking. I swear I'll never do anything like that unless you tell me to. I relaxed a little and stroked her back. Over the next few weeks, I continued to worry about the influence Amy was having on my wife. I liked Amy and Ted and enjoyed their company. I could see Amy's attraction to Cindy. It showed subtly, such as when she encouraged Amy to talk about her wild friends and what they were up to. Cindy's face would light up and she would giggle and giggle like a cranky teenager when Amy told her about her adventures. After every night we spent with them, Cindy would lie in bed and tell me how she couldn't believe how crazy Amy's friends were. They are so free, they just do what they want without caring about anything in the world. Amy says these women have a real lust for life and very understanding husbands. I could see the lustful gleam in her eyes as she talked about them. Cindy, we've talked about this before. I'm not like these people. I love you, but it bothers me that you seem to be drawn to their lifestyle. Are you still happy being my wife? What, yes, of course I am. I love you with all my heart. I guess it's just the thought of it that excites me. Doesn't the thought of being with Amy or some other sexy woman turn you on? As a fantasy? I'm not a prude. Sure, I have fantasies, but I don't dwell on them. I like being with you. You're still the girl of my dreams. I have no desire to be with other women. She smiled and pressed herself against me. You're the best. 3 weeks later, we were at a Friday night pizza party at the clubhouse. The social committee planned these small events for the residents. Today, about 75 people attended the party. Pizza, salad, and desserts were spread out on several tables. A bartender was hired to work the bar and did not skimp on the drinks. The committee had set up a small dance floor on the club's patio, and music was blasting from a couple of decent speakers. I sat with Ted, discussing the upcoming games and enjoying a gin and tonic. Cindy was off to the side talking to the ladies who were organizing the event. Amy walked over to our table. So will any of you studs dance with me, or do I have to find someone else? I looked at Ted, expecting him to respond to his wife's request. He only smiled, and then gestured for me to go with Amy. I didn't want to dance, but I didn't want to be rude either, so I stood up and Amy took my hand. As she pulled me along, I watched her ass sway and wondered how women could move their hips so much. The machines played a slow song and Amy put her arms around me. After a few moments, she pressed herself against me and nestled her lips against my ear. "Thanks for not turning me down. Ted doesn't really like to dance, but he doesn't mind me dancing with other men." "Really? And when you go out somewhere nice, does he let you dance with strangers?" "Yes, he likes to watch men come up to me and ask me to dance. He considers it a compliment to his choice of wife." Well, some of these guys might see it as an invitation to more than just a dance." She giggled at the top of her voice. "Oh, yes, that happens quite often." "And what do you do when they suggest something more than just a dance?" She leaned back and looked me in the eye. "Well, it usually depends on who's asking. I usually just laugh, finish the dance, and go back to my husband. But not always." She giggled again and snuggled closer. "Ted's pretty understanding and doesn't mind if I make new friends." "I see. But what about you? How do you feel about Ted making new friends?" She smiled radiantly at me. "I suspect my friend Cindy has already told you that Ted and I have more modern views on making new friends." "Yeah, but she didn't say anything about Ted. Just expressed her admiration for you," I said, a little more sternly than I would have liked. "Oh, well, for that matter, she might like hearing about my new friends, but I don't think she's interested in making new friends." "That's good to hear. However," she said and pointed at me, "I think she might get to know a few of her current friends a little better, and me too." The song ended, and I stepped back a little. Leaning forward, I kissed her forehead. "Thanks for the dance and the information." I then turned and walked back to the table. Cindy was sitting across from Ted, and they were laughing about something when I approached. Ted looked up at me. "Has she let you run off yet?" "Yeah, I needed another drink. Would you like one, Cindy?" They both nodded. I knew Amy liked white wine, so I brought drinks for everyone. Amy hugged Cindy, but they separated when I sat down. Cindy patted my leg. "Amy just told me that she has a college event on Wednesday night and she wants me to go with her. It's a lecture by the Dean of Women's Studies. I think it will be very interesting." I looked at Ted and he shrugged, then said, "A new barbecue place just opened up. We could go there and have a boys' night out." "Tuesday night," Cindy said. "There's a reception after the lecture, so I can stay late tomorrow." "Okay, do you need a ride?" "No, we'll take an Uber." "This lecture is for women. Is it just for ladies?" "No, Amy said there will be men there, mostly faculty and a few rich sponsors. Why do you ask?" "Just wondering why Amy asked you to go instead of Ted." "I don't know. She said she thought I'd enjoy making new friends. I'm looking forward to meeting the dean. I've read a few of her articles and they were fascinating." I didn't catch the slightest hint of subterfuge, so I left it at that. The barbecue with Ted went well, but I went to bed before 10, so I woke up at 1:15 and Cindy still wasn't home. I peed and was about to go back to bed when I heard the sound of a car pulling up. I went to the window and looked out. It was a limousine. The two doors opened and two guys got out, one on each side. The guys were wearing white shirts, but no ties or jackets. As the men reached out, Amy and Cindy climbed out of the car from opposite sides. Amy was holding a bottle and staggered a bit as she fell on the guy helping her out. I heard her loud laughter. The guy put his arm around her and she kissed him deeply. They pulled away from each other and Amy handed him the bottle and then wrapped her arms around him for another kiss. Cindy looked more confident. She leaned over and kissed the guy on the cheek and seemed to say something to him. They both watched the other couple and laughed. Cindy then pointed to our garage and pressed the key fob to raise the door. She took a step toward the house, but her new friend still held her hand. He enclosed her in a hug, and they kissed. She seemed hesitant at first, but my heart skipped a beat when she melted into his arms and responded to his deep kiss. I went back into the bedroom and closed and locked the door. I grabbed a chair and set it under the knob. I heard the garage closing, and a little while later I heard Cindy trying to open the bedroom door. We rarely close that door and never lock it. I can only imagine what she was thinking when she found it locked. I slept very little that night. It cost me a lot of labor to get up and dressed for work. I figured Cindy was sleeping upstairs in one of the spare rooms because she wasn't visible in the kitchen when I closed the garage door and jumped in the car. Around noon, my cell phone alerted me to a message from Cindy. "Cindy, I'm sorry to be so late, but I warned you. Why did you lock the bedroom door? I had to sleep upstairs. Why didn't you wake me up this morning?" I didn't answer. I know what I saw, but I don't know if that kiss was the limit or if much more happened. I needed time to figure things out. I was pretty much useless at work. Thankfully, I didn't have any meetings to sit in on. I took a few phone calls and answered a few emails, but mostly I just sat at my desk, mulling over what I had seen and imagining what else my wife had done. I called Ted and asked him if he knew anything about what the ladies had been up to last night. He said he was asleep when Cindy climbed into bed and hadn't talked to her about the lecture. I told him I wasn't even sure there had been a lecture and thought that maybe our wives had lied to us about it. "What makes you think that?" "I've seen the brochure about the event, so I know it was real." "Do you think they missed it and went somewhere else?" "Maybe. Or maybe they got picked up by a couple guys at the reception and started partying with them. I know something happened. Maybe you should ask Amy about it and let me know if you get any details." "Okay, buddy. I'm sure nothing happened, but I'll ask Amy about it." "Have you talked to Cindy? What does she say?" "I haven't talked to her. I need to think things over before I talk to her. I just got off the phone with Bill. He asked me if there really was a lecture last night or if you two were just skipping it." "Of course there was a lecture. There was a reception afterward, and then we went out for drinks with a few of our sponsors. It was a blast. Cindy had a great time and finally let her hair down a little." "Oh my fucking Lord. You stupid bitch. I told you not to mess with them. Bill's not like us. If he finds out, he'll go nuts. Please tell me you didn't let her sleep with anyone." "Relax, she didn't sleep with anyone. But she sure as hell enjoyed watching me get fucked. I told you she was a game. She just needs to work on Bill some more and we'll have 2 hot new playmates right next door." "You're totally fucked up. Bill isn't a player and never will be. God damn it, I like him. I like living here. You just had to ruin it, didn't you?" Amy looked at her husband, who continued to yell at her. Okay. What do you want me to do?" "You better call Cindy and clear the air. I don't know how much Bill knows, but he's sure something happened. Now think about it. How could he possibly know what you did?" "There's no way. We were at their corporate condo. It's very private, high security. No one saw us. They took us home in a limo, dropped us off, and then left." Ted seemed to digest her words. Then it hit him. "Let me guess. You said goodbye to them in the driveway. Jesus, right in front of his house." "It was about 1:30. No one saw us. Unless he was waiting for her, which is exactly what a man like him would do." "Damn. Okay, I'll call Cindy right now." My assistant peeked into my office. "Knock, knock. Are you sleeping in here? I haven't heard a peep from you all day. Is everything okay?" "No, Carol, everything is not okay. But it has nothing to do with work." She walked in and closed my door. "Bill, what's the matter? I've never seen you like this before. Are you sick? What can I do for you?" I smiled at her. Carol was almost old enough to be my mother, and today she definitely sounded like my mom. "I think Cindy's in trouble, and I'm not sure how badly she's hurt." "Trouble? What kind of trouble?" "Her new best friend, Amy, is our neighbor. Amy's husband, Ted, is pretty laid back, but Amy is peculiar. We recently found out that they have an open marriage, and Cindy is absolutely thrilled with the stories Amy tells her. Last night, the two of them went to a lecture for women. There was a reception afterward, and they walked around until 1:30 p.m. They came home in a limo, and then she kissed her escort while standing in my fucking driveway." "Kissed him? Well, a smack on the cheek at the end of the night might be indecent, but it's nothing to get upset about." "She did? And then he pulled her to him and pressed himself against her, and she gave him everything she had. It was a long, deep kiss, The kind of kiss that lovers have. Oh, that's not good. And what are you going to do? I don't know. I guess I'll talk to her tonight and see what she says. If she slept with some guy, it's over. If it was just a kiss, I don't know. I walked into the house not knowing exactly how I was going to question Cindy about her activities. I needn't have worried. She greeted me when I walked in. She handed me a drink and invited me to join her on the couch. Bill, there's something I need to tell you. I'm afraid you already know what I'm going to say, but you need to know the whole story. I looked at her and realized she had thought it through, so I just nodded for her to continue. As you know, I went to a lecture with Amy last night. After the lecture, there was a reception for some of the college's big donors. Amy told me she wanted to socialize with them and make sure they had a nice evening and asked me to help. I danced with some older guys and accepted drinks from younger men. We chatted and flirted, and all the guys liked us. I felt like a socialite, the belle of the ball, with all these rich men seeking my attention. As the evening wore on, two guys kind of stuck to us. They ordered drinks, danced with us, and told us how beautiful we were. They told us about their business and were very charming. It was getting late, and they invited us for a nightcap and told us their limo would take us home. We rode in the limo to their apartment, and they poured us champagne. We split into couples and got cozy by the fireplace. Paul, my boyfriend, was a gentleman. We talked, laughed, and were just being friends. He kissed me a couple times, and I let him. He tried some more, but I stopped him. Amy and Steve, her boyfriend, were much friendlier, and they started a serious relationship. I think Paul expected me to do the same, but he didn't force the issue. It was getting late, so I told Amy we had to leave. The guys came with us in their limo. When we arrived, Amy was pretty drunk, and her goodbye kiss turned into a make-out session. I pecked Paul on the cheek and started to walk in. He pulled me to him and kissed me hard. I let him again and even kissed him back before breaking the kiss and going inside. When I found you locked me in, I was confused and too drunk to realize that you probably saw me kissing him. Yes, I saw you. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have done that in our driveway. I just wasn't thinking. I'm sorry you saw me do it. I just stared at her as her words ran through my head. So you're sorry I saw you making out with some guy in our driveway? Yeah, sure. Funny. It sounds like you regret that I saw you with some other guy, but you don't regret doing what you did with him. Bill, that's not what I meant. But the truth is that kissing him wasn't anything special. It was fun and exciting, but I didn't let it go too far. It was just a fun night out. Well, what I saw certainly wasn't fun for me. My wife was making out with some asshole. No, that was not fun. And yes, you damn well went too far. Come on, Bill, be reasonable. So I kissed the guy a few times. So what? I had fun. I enjoyed his company. I didn't do anything wrong. You're just a prude. I don't want my wife kissing other men. I don't want her going back to their house at night and doing God knows what. A wife shouldn't act like that. This infuriated her, and she lashed out at me. Grow up, Bill. It's 2023. I'm a grown woman, and I can make my own choices. What the hell does that mean? It means I get to decide who I kiss and who I drink with. You don't own me, and you can't tell me what I can and can't do. You need to get off your high horse and loosen up a little. Loosen up? You want to be like Ted and let my wife run around with any guy she wants? You expect me to let you date other guys and sleep with whoever you want? I haven't slept with other guys. No more. But it's obvious you want to. That's exactly where this is going. You've been hinting at it for months, and I've told you how I feel about it. You want to be just like Amy, free to do whatever she wants. What's wrong with that? You'd be free too. If you pull that stick out of your ass... I slowly stood up, burning her sneering, contorted face into my memory. I spoke calmly. Obviously, you've decided to embrace the concept of marriage, Amy. Well, that's unacceptable to me. In your words, you don't own me. You can't tell me how to live my life. I don't have to put up with your crap. What the hell does that mean? It means I reject your open marriage. I won't live in a sham marriage. So, instead of agreeing to expand your consciousness a little, you're going to divorce me? That's insane. We love each other. We raised our kids together. We belong together. You can't divorce me." I shook my head, trying to find a way to make her understand how I felt. "Okay, that's stupid, but what if I told you I'm going to start buying puppies to fry, and that's what we're going to eat from now on?" "That's disgusting. What the hell is going on with you?" "There, right here. This feeling of disgust is how I feel about this open marriage crap." She stared at me with her mouth open, shaking her head slowly. But I knew she understood now. My disgusting image of frying puppies had horrified her, but now I could see it in her eyes. Now she understood my feelings. "Okay, Bill. Amy convinced me that you would eventually agree to open our marriage. I actually think it would be fun, but it's not worth ruining our marriage. I guess I just thought you were being stubborn, but that puppy crap, yuck. Cindy, you let Amy and her ideas influence our lives. You stop thinking about what's best for us and let her convince you that it's okay to do what you want, even over my objections. We've been partners for the last few decades, working together to build a better life for both of us. Now I'm worried. Through her influence, you cheated and tried to convince me to put up with it so you could cheat some more. Bill, please, I realize now that I shouldn't have tried to force her ideas on you. I was being selfish and ignoring your feelings. Please forgive me and let's go back to the way things were. Just you and me. I don't know if I can do that. I'm not sure I can trust you, and that's the real problem. You were fooling around with another guy, and you were really into it. Now that you know I won't go along with it, you're claiming it's over and we can go back to the way things were. How do I know you're not just saying that to keep me here while you sneak around behind my back? No, baby, I swear I've had an epiphany. I know I was wrong. Please give us another chance. I took a deep breath. After 20 years, I have an obligation not to give up on our marriage, but it's a two-way street. You have to work as hard as I do. No more talk of an open marriage. Just you and me, no one else. Agreed? Yes, baby. I promise it's just you and me. Over the next few months, Cindy worked her butt off to prove herself a faithful wife. Relationships with the neighbors fell apart, and we only saw them at big events where there were lots of other people. I missed hanging out with Ted a little, but I didn't want Amy to be around Cindy. 2 years later, we were at another community event, and I was forced to do a little work at one of the grills. Another unlucky soul turned out to be a new neighbor I hadn't met yet. "Wow, it's hot standing next to that thing," I said as I opened my beer and handed it to the newcomer. "I'm Bill Carter, by the way," I said, extending my hand. "Jim Rowland," he said, squeezing my hand. We chatted as we worked, and then I heard Amy squeal with laughter as one of the kids chased her with a gun. Jim looked up and watched her run past. "Boy, that Amy is something, isn't she?" "Yeah, she's just beautiful. I see her at the Fremont a lot. My company holds a couple events there every week. You know, free lunch if you heed our offers. Yeah, she's pretty popular in the lounge there. She and her friend Cindy know how to get the lounge going." I nearly spit out my beer. "Cindy? Yeah, you know her? I think she lives next door to Amy. She's a little older, but she's still pretty hot. They're always the center of attention. The other sales guys in my group say Amy's always looking for fun, and this Cindy's a bit of a cougar. She likes younger guys." I thanked Jim for his help and then waved to the chairman. I told him I was done and handed him my apron. I went home and sat down to contemplate my future as a 50-year-old bachelor. I was still sitting there when Cindy walked in and called my name. "Bill, are you in here? Are you okay?" She stopped when she saw me. "Honey, are you sick?" I slowly raised my head to look at her. "For how long?" "What?" "How long did it take Amy to lure you back into her lifestyle?" "What? What are you talking about?" "About the Fremont Lounge, where you two spend your time trying to make new friends." "Oh, shit. It's over between us, so there's no point in lying about it. Just tell me when it started." She hung her head. "A few months ago, she called me and asked me to meet her for lunch. I hadn't seen her in a while, so I went. After lunch, A couple of young guys bought us drinks and, well, it just sort of happened. I'm sorry, Bill. 3 months later, the house was sold and we split the proceeds. Right after that, the divorce was final and I was officially a single man. I see Cindy at family gatherings and she is always nice to me. She often hints that she wants me in her bed, but I just can't do it. Carol has been pestering me for weeks about asking her niece Donna out, and I finally agreed, mostly to shut Carol up. Donna is 8 years younger than me, divorced from a cheating boyfriend, and has a grown daughter. Donna can't be called beautiful, but she has a pleasant appearance and a trim, slender body. She shared this trim body with me on our third date, and it was impressive. We recently bought a house together and are discussing marriage. Her daughter says I was a good influence on her mother, and I assured her that her mother was a good influence on me.